so much.
Okay, so we got a very special episode of Guitar Stories here for you today, talking to the one and only Mr. Vince Gill and his 53 Telecaster. And in my opinion, this is one of the most iconic Teles ever. It's one of the guitars that I think of when I think of the Telecaster. I mean, a 53 white blackguard, this is it. So if you're not familiar with a lot of Vince's stuff, man, he has so many amazing, amazing guitar albums, not just country. You know, he covers so much stuff. Vince is one of my favorite blues players. So, I mean, go look up, obviously, Pocket Full of Gold, High Lonesome Sound, Next Big Thing, Guitar Slinger. There's tons of albums. Just check his stuff out. There's literally something for everybody in his catalog. So, huge thank you to Vince for letting me come over to his house. I really do appreciate him taking time out of his schedule to share all these stories and insight with us. There's just so much, you know, it's just a wealth of knowledge here in this video. But I also want to thank sweet old Uncle Larry for introducing me to Vince and really helping me get the ball rolling on all this stuff. So, a big thank you to both of those guys. If you would, hit the subscribe button. And yo, let's head over to Vince's, talk about his 53 Tele.
Is that too loud or
No.
Fine.
Good to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, first off, thank you so much for letting me come in here and do this video and showing us your Tele.
Yeah, my main buddy.
When did you get that?
I got it in 1978.
It's a
46 years. Yeah, it's a 53, and they say it's really rare for it to be a white one. That there weren't but a handful of those, and they did some steel guitars or some lap steel guitars in this white, and then I have another one that's a 52 that's a white one. I never see white ones very often, and I didn't have a Telecaster before I got this one, so I didn't know that it was any different than a butterscotch one or whatever. So there was a fella from Tulsa, Oklahoma, named Larry Briggs, great vintage dealer over the last 50 years, and great friends and still are to this day. But he had this guitar in his possession, and he went to a music store in Del City, Oklahoma. This guy's name was Bob Woods. Bob was a real character, old school music store guy, and would sell stuff to churches on time and let them pay it off. And he always had a habit of there being a bunch of old cool stuff in his office, but he never would know quite what was in there. And he'd open, oh yeah, I forgot I had that, and yeah, I forgot I had that. But the coolest guy, and he was kind of a big rock star for us as kids because he had that nice music store. And the two of them had a big trade of about 20 guitars for 20 guitars, you know. And I just happened to be in the shop that day with my friend Benny, and I watched this white Telecaster go from Larry Briggs's possession over to Bob, and Bob traded for it. And as soon as Bob traded for it, he had, 10 or 15 guitars. He just traded for 10 or 15 of Larry's, and I picked it up, and I felt this neck, and I go, oh, there's something magic about this. And before he had time to kind of figure out what he had, I said, hey, Bobby, will you sell that old Tele? And he goes, sure, I'll sell it to you. I said, how much? He said, $450. I said, sold. It might have been worth another couple $100, $200 or $300 in 1978. And funny thing was, this guitar kind of helped make my career. And every time I'd go see Bob, he'd look at me and goes, you got to me on that Telecaster, damn you. He said, you got to me good. I said, Bob, that guitar helped make me famous. This was a good thing, and he was a sweet guy. But and I still see Larry to this day, all these years later, and we always talk about this old white Tele, and that's how our friendship got started. So I had never had a Tele before, and I was crazy about what James Burton did and Albert Lee did, and the chicken picking thing and bending strings like a steel guitar. And I said, I got to get one of those. this is the one I got, and I've got another 20 or 25 Blackguards and other things from the 60s, and this is the best one. It's just,
Really?
Yeah. My friend Joe Glazer has said, I think it's my favorite telly I've ever seen.
Wow.
And he's seen all
That's
the major ones, you know.
Yeah, that's a good
He
call.
may back up on that statement if you confront him on it, but I think he always liked this guitar. It's all I've ever done to it is the neck pickup wore out and a few fret jobs over the years. That's about it.
Well, so and obviously you've played that guitar a lot.
God, yeah.
Do your hands, do they rust strings or anything like that? Because some people's tellies are, you know, black fretboards and.
I'm not my hands aren't real greasy. I don't kill strings fast or
Yeah.
any of that, so I haven't had that kind of problem with any of it. And like I said, I never did anything to it. And what's remarkable about this guitar is the profile of the neck. Like, I don't know, because there's no finish on it, if somebody took the finish off, somebody made this neck a little bit smaller than it already was. There's no, never have found any sand marks on the neck to make you think that somebody sanded it off. I don't know if they just wore it off, but it is by far the best neck profile of all the Telecasters I've ever played.
That's cool. Even when I handed it to you, and my mind's just like grabbed it, I go,
Yeah.
neck, and I
Yeah, and
handed it to you.
it's remarkable. And everybody's always liked Blackguards and flat pole piece guitars. They're a little sweeter sounding than they got a little brighter throughout later in the 50s and the 60s. But man, there's something about this guitar. It's got its own voice.
Yeah. Do you happen to know anything about it? Because obviously you said you got it in '78.
Yeah, I don't know the first 25 years.
What it was doing.
I know nothing. You know.
Wow.
I don't even think Larry knew. You know, he just bought and sold and came across it and whatever. And it'd be nice to know the rest of the history of this guitar. But for 46 years now, it's been my mainstay.
Yeah. So it made it to you somehow. So I guess that's.
Yeah, you know, and it's on everything pretty much. All the solos I played for the most part. One More Last Chance, Liza Jane, you name it. Any of those kind of telly solos were always. It's always what I reached for.
Well, because I was going to ask you, because obviously you do have other Blackguards. Like, what do you think makes it different? Is it lighter? Is it? I think it's the neck profile and just something about this body, this pickup, this whatever this iteration of it is. It's warmer. It's not real bright. I learned a tip from Roy Nichols. You know, when you play, he would always take the tone knob and pull it back until that really bright, familiar Telecaster brightness would go away, and it would darken it just a little bit. Then you could brighten the amp a hair more, and the frequencies that the amplifiers were always, you know, boosting were not near as high as whatever the high end on the tone pot is, and Right.
and it's I never, you know, I'm gonna play the neck pickup. I'll run the tone pot more all the way up because it needs that brightness for it. But and I don't even know I can't remember what kind of pickup we put in this, and that pickup's been in here for 30 or 35 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you still have the original
Somewhere.
pickup?
I wouldn't be able to walk to it and say, here it is. But I know it's in my possession somewhere.
Well, man, that's gonna make the next scene I had really, really difficult.
But you know what? As I recall, this pickup sounds better.
Does it really?
Uh-huh. There's something about this pickup, and like I said, I don't know what's in here, but it, you know, and then all that dark circuit of the original ones, you know, that the tone didn't even work on the neck pickup unless you're in the middle position. But it's just something. I always felt like there was a different sound in the middle position when it was just the neck pickup, you know. But I wired it so I could use it on more forward switching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had a broadcaster that was actually wired backwards from the factory.
Oh, that had to be
I
a
took
trick
it to
play.
Joe and I said, "What's going on with this thing?" He said, "It's wired backwards." So we took pictures and rewired it so it would do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But there were no solder joints broken, so we knew it
came that way.
It came that way, just a mistake.
Wow. So you said this was your first telly. I mean, what a great telly to start
Pretty
with.
good start. Yeah.
Yeah. But what was your rig?
Blind luck.
Yeah. I mean, where do you go from there? It's
Well, like I said, I've got many others, but I never find myself as drawn to them, and I don't know what it is other than just the way it plays and the way it sounds. It fits my hands. Most early '50s tellies the necks are pretty big.
yeah.
I never knew that because I didn't have any.
Yeah.
So I didn't know they were all big. And as I picked them off, over the years, I kind of noticed. I said, well, these are a little bigger than my white one, and I don't have very big hands, so it's just a pretty good partnership. I picked up another white one not long ago. I bought from Norm's Rare Guitars out in California, and he had another white one, and I never see them.
Yeah.
And at one point, it was owned by Roy Buchanan. It was his backup to one he called either Nancy or Lucy. I can't remember. I'm getting old. My memory's fading. But that one that all the finish was gone that he played all the time. And then he had a white one that he recorded with some, and I've seen it on a record cover or two. And I bought it so I'd have a twin of this one. Yeah.
That's cool. You might remember the first time I ran into you was at Groon's, and you were upstairs and you were looking at a black card telly. I'm like, I love it. Like,
you got to be careful when you go upstairs at George's. It's going to hurt you. It's going to cost you.
So I was really curious when you said that was your first telly, because what was your main guitar prior to getting a telly?
Well, I only had one electric guitar prior to that. It was my parents got it for me when I was 10. It's a red 335. It's back there against the wall, and that was the only electric guitar I had. And then I bought this, and then I bought my friend Benny Garcia, who we were childhood friends, and he teched for me for a long time, passed away in 2020. He sold me a black Strat that I played all the time. And if you ever saw me playing a black Strat, that was that one. And I eventually put some EMGs in it, and it had been refinished, so it was not a kind of a original heirloom of any kind. And he sold it to me back then in the 70s for $200 and a pair of boots.
Man.
I promised him I'd sell it back to him someday for $200 and a pair of boots, but I didn't get to. But, and then just little by little, I only had a handful of things.
Mm-hmm.
When I left home, I had a Martin D41 to play bluegrass on, and my red 335, and that's all there was. I borrowed my dad's banjo, and sadly it got stolen when I first moved to Kentucky when I was 18.
Oh, man.
And that's when I met George Gruen, was back then in my bluegrass days. So we've been friends forever, and I've bought a million guitars from him, it seems like.
So when you got the telly, what was your rig that you were using? Silverface or?
I used a couple of twins, talk about loud, Two twins with JBLs and a Telecaster.
Telecaster.
So I remember one time when I first moved here in 1983, I think I was doing a TV show. I had this telly and a couple of twins, and the stage director got up on stage, and he looked at me, and he looked at my rig, and he looked at my guitar, and he goes, "Is that a prop?"
Is that a prop?
I said, "You'll find out." He said, "You already look too loud."
I mean, that's some volume.
Oh my God! I mean, just that's the one. I'm being a telly player in all those years. Blown Up was never how I was going to play.
Yeah,
it was always as clean as I could get, as loud as I could get.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was the abnormal one that most people would like a certain rig or a certain thing. I was never trying to get that. I was trying to stay as clean as I could, and then if needed something to blow up, I used a stomp box. But it all changed. You just keep searching, keep finding a new amp you like. I've been playing these little Walter amps for a good while now. I really like the things he builds. Phil's a great guy, and they're unique because they take no matter what, they take whatever you throw at them, no matter what, humbucker, PAF, or Tele, or Strat, and they're all musical. Everything sounds pretty musical through what he builds, and I've been using those for a long time, but I've got old Tweed stuff and Blackface stuff and Marshall and AC 30 and just getting all of it because you know that's what you want more than anything. I think is you look around here and it looks like you've gone nuts. You've got so many similar instruments, but truth is they all sound very different. No two sound alike, and they could be same year, same make, same model, same everything, and they don't sound alike. They don't play alike. And if I was a painter, I wouldn't want to just paint with one color all the time. So,
do you have any songs that you wrote on the Tele?
God, I would think so. I think Liza Jane would be one.
I don't know if it was mostly written on acoustic stuff or.
There's certain songs that come because of a groove, because of a lick, because of a feel and all that, and you just take a feel and something and you run with it. And I just always, for whatever reason, I reach for this one for the majority of the other stuff, But most of the songs are written on an acoustic guitar, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and a lot of times you were talking about the amps you're using and stuff. I mean, like you said, you typically have a cleaner tone, but then sometimes you've had rock like the Ultra Solo and Sparkle. I'm like, that's pretty rockin' tone.
I mean, I think that what I'm always trying to accomplish is what's appropriate for the song that you're playing, and that's all it's been ever pointed towards was trying to find the right sound to go with the song that was before me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than a melody that's really pretty and this and that, and you're playing bad blues over it, or vice versa. It's all you're ever trying to do is get the best sound you can and play the best way you can, that serves whatever the song is in front of it. And there's a lot of songs that really they don't want a lot of information.
Yeah.
And I think soloing is telling a story just as important as the song you're singing. And I got a lesson, I've told this story 8 billion times, but I was young and when you're young you're trying to learn everything you can. I was playing on somebody's record and played a solo, and guy came on to talk back and goes, "Man, that was impressive." He said, "Let's try it again." He said, "This time just play me half of what you know." So I've always, over the years tried to edit myself. And if I play something, I played 8 notes, I said, could I do that and say more with 5 notes? And just continue to keep whittling away until what you play speaks, and that's what's most important. Nothing, there's nothing more uninteresting than somebody whittling over something that they shouldn't be whittling over.
Well, and you think that comes from, I mean, it seems like a lot of singers who also play guitar, they tend to sing with the guitar as well.
Yeah, I think so. I always, when I get ready to play something on the guitar, I ask my brain, I say, how would you sing this? So then I play what I might sing. And if I'm getting ready to sing something, I go, how would I play this?
Yeah.
And vice versa. So one always kind of inspires the other in a way, So, and once again, it's we all get lost at times in how much we can do, and more often than not, it's not really necessary.
Yeah. But and I mean, you've traveled all over the place with this guitar.
Yeah.
I'm sure you and the guitar have probably gotten into some good situations, bad situations.
It's a good weapon.
Yeah.
I'd take these in a bar fight over a knife any day. That's one of my more embarrassing moments. I drilled a guy with the headstock of this one night that was coming after me.
Oh, well.
And I popped him good. And the funny thing was the tuning peg, this tuning peg got hooked. After I hit him in the face, it got hooked on his nose.
Oh.
And so then I picked him up. And that was about the end of it.
That was, well, I mean, you take one.
Embarrassing. That was back in the rough club days.
Rough.
Knife and gun clubs, we called them.
Hey,
They would check you at the door for a knife or a gun. If you didn't have one, they'd give you one.
they, they
It was a
know
fair fight.
They didn't know the real weapon was the Telecaster.
Yeah. And I know a story of a guy that had played a Fender bass, and he was out messing around with some guy's girl, and he came in the bar and he was playing bass, and he just took a gun and shot him.
Whoa.
And he hit the bass, and the bass saved his life. Didn't kill him. So I like Fenders in a
Yeah.
fight.
Man, if there's ever been an endorsement for Fender. Well, so then this obviously we're talking about this guitar,
Yeah.
but has there ever been kind of like a number two? Like was there ever a period where this guitar wasn't number one? You're like kind of set it aside because you were
No.
trying to find something else.
Not really. And even if I'll take a few out, tune one a half step down, tune one a whole step down, and whatever, and drop tune and things like that. But I don't think I've ever really found something I think speaks to me more than this one.
That one. That's
I'll
cool.
take the one that I think. I have a couple that some of my friends think sounds better than this one. We might argue on that, but once again, I'm just trying to play the right guitar on the right song. And I don't take it with the Eagles because there's no real Telecaster playing for me on
I was gonna
the
ask
gig that I have. I don't play a lot of guitar, play a lot of rhythm guitar and things like that. But I thought I'd let it come home for a little bit and rest up
Yeah.
for the next run.
Well, so I was going to ask you if it was retired, kind of like retired to home life,
No,
or
no.
it's still just a
No,
road.
I'm gonna take the best guitars on the road. If we take good care of them, we're not flying places and checking them and things like that, and they're taken very good care of, and I don't worry about them, and I'd rather play the greatest stuff. I wouldn't want to compromise what I have the opportunity to play just because it's too valuable. I mean, this guitar's got to be pretty valuable because it's been mine for all these years. And
Oh yeah.
all the history of it, and you see some of these star guitars, whatever you want to call them, just go for stupid money. But I wouldn't. There would be no way I could ever cut loose with this one.
Cut loose of it. Yeah, I mean, Gilmore sold his
It-
Strat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But this thing came very, very close to being in the flood that we had in Nashville 10 or 12 years ago. Can't remember what year it was. I think 11.
Yeah, why was it not?
Yeah, we were on the road and we were coming home, and the rain had started and the flooding was imminent, and the crew didn't want to unload the truck in the rain and all the bad weather, and so they stayed out of town for a day or whatever. And that day where we kept everything was a place called Soundcheck here in Nashville, and it flooded, and all this stuff would have been in the front of the place and would have gotten dunked. It did get dunked, but thank God it wasn't there. I remember Sweet Brad Paisley called me. He said, "Tell me you didn't lose the white telly." I go, "Nope, it's in good shape."
Man.
So everybody kind of has a reverence and love for this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
When I first started, asking around to try to do these videos, I mean, this was one of the guitars. I was like,
Yeah.
man, if I could interview Vince about his 53, I mean, that's one of the tellies in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, as an electric guitar, obviously my Red 335 is equally as sentimental. I don't play it as much because I have others that are much better instruments, but this has been the whole way.
Yeah.
I played it with Pure Prairie League, Rodney, Roseanne, me, whatever I've ever done. This was the one that has seen most all of it.
Yeah, and I think that's cool whenever someone has they find that one guitar. Because I mean, you played it at Crossroads, didn't you?
Oh,
in
yeah.
2010.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
All the Crossroads.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just been everywhere.
And the guys like James Burton, he said that's a great sound of Telly. He really loves this guitar, and so all your Telly heroes, if they think it's pretty spot on, that's cool.
It's a shoe in for a
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
Do you have, because you mentioned Liza James, stuff like that, do you have a favorite song that you wrote on the Telly? Like, maybe it wasn't a hit or something, but I mean,
I don't know. There's I wrote a fun song called Guitar Slinger that's kind of humorous.
that whole album's great.
Yeah, but it was fun because it was it was mostly about, this guitar. It was about it had a verse about the flood. So, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was like half of my stuff's in the Cumberland River.
It has a awesome. Anyone who hasn't listened to it, awesome solo. I mean, all the
thanks.
double stops that you're doing in it and stuff. It's everything you want a telly to be.
Wow, neat. Yeah, it's I guess if I'm defined by a guitar style, I always felt like I was a chameleon to some degree, but I also had songs that were prominent and were hits and things like that, which then all of a sudden there was a definition of stuff. But I think in my heart I've always felt like a chameleon, and while I play this on a lot of stuff, it's not the only thing I do. Flat pick, bluegrass, I play the blues, I play Les Pauls and play power chords. I'll tell you a funny story. First started playing with the Eagles, and I'm playing Rocky Mountain Way with Joe Walsh, and I'm ripping these power chords for him, and Don's looking at me and his eyes are all squinted up, and I said, "What?" He goes, "I thought you were a bluegrasser." I said, "I am, but I kind of like this stuff too."
It's cool. Well, I think one of my personal favorite albums of yours is A High Lonesome, and I mean that opens up. Talk about a blues. I mean, I assume is that the
Right.
telly? That's the telly neck pickup
On High Lonesome Sound.
Yeah. Oh well, that one, and then the opening track.
Is it One Dance with You, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a Gibson.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, as much as a telly will do, there are some things it won't do.
It won't do. Yeah.
But
That's cool.
pretty versatile guitar.
That whole album was a different sound. I mean, there was country stuff on there, and there was bluegrass. And,
I've always wanted everything to be chameleon-like,
Mhm.
and not just be one thing. I finally had a hit, and I thought the last thing I want to do is repeat that over and over and over. Even though I still did a lot more waltzes. When I Call Your Name was a waltz, and changed everything for me. But I also, I wanted people. I didn't want to try to prove to people that I was a good guitar player. I wanted them to discover it, and so the albums weren't always hell bent to go. There's a few moments on a record where I would get to shine, but it wasn't like I'm trying to stick this in your face.
Yeah.
Notice me playing the guitar. I said, discover that I play, and that'll be enough for me. So I knew that my singing and my songs would be my ticket to doing anything of merit. So
yeah.
I let everybody just kind of figure it out as we went, and I hear that so often. I had no idea you could play like that.
Really.
I said, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know you didn't. It's okay.
Oh man. I can't imagine they listen to this stuff. I mean, your first couple albums didn't have lots of guitaring on them.
No, not really. I mean, if you think about it, country music doesn't have a long history of guitar gods.
Yeah.
It's
not like rock.
No, it's a guy singing a song. It's all about the singer and the song in this world. And I knew better than to try to, like I said earlier, try to show off the guitar player that I could potentially be. And this town's all based around songs, serving them and whatnot. So
yeah. Well, and you've got and you've continued to put albums out.
yeah, oh heck,
And
yeah.
then 2019.
Can't prove it, but I'm
You
putting
can't
them
prove
out.
it. I don't know, man. They're great. I mean, was it Okie?
Yeah, that was 2019, and I started on some new stuff, and I'm always wanting to be creative. It's interesting because most people surmise that your period of success was your best, and I don't feel that way. I feel my best now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a better singer than I was 30 years ago, much better guitar player than I was 30 years ago, and a way better songwriter than I was. So I hear it in my own head that I feel like I'm better than I was. So if I'm the only one that knows it, that's enough for me.
Yeah. And you think that's because people kind of want everything to rinse and repeat. It's like, no, just write another Liza Jane. Like,
Well,
you know, I mean,
I just think people move on.
yeah,
You know, I tell every kid artist, I said, hey, just remember, they quit playing Elvis, and they'll quit playing you.
yeah,
And that's the case. You know, everybody has a shelf life. Whether you're a musician, whether you're an artist, whether you're a producer, whether you're a songwriter, record executive, doesn't matter what. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like you get your 15 minutes, and then they're on to the next, and it's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's how it's supposed to evolve that way. So, I've never been crushed because I stopped having hits.
yeah,
You know, it didn't stop me. It didn't keep me from being as creative as I always was. It was not my definition of myself.
yeah,
The success was not how I defined myself. My definition came from knowing that I got better, you know, and seeing periods of progress was all I was ever trying to accomplish.
yeah. So you've probably had personal hits though, like you know, you've written a song or had someone play on it, and then you're just like, man, like proud of that one, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I there's a lot of songs I said if this would have been 30 years ago, that would have probably been a hit. But it's not 30
Right.
years ago.
Yeah,
So quit whining. But I think what I love about what I've accomplished as a musician and a singer and a songwriter is how diverse my career has been. You know, I've played on and sang on over 1,000 artists' records, and it's interesting. That's what I dreamt of doing. I didn't dream of being a star. I didn't have a hairbrush in the mirror practicing my moves and trying to be Elvis or Tom Jones or whoever. I love playing the guitar and
Right.
sitting in it and being a musician and being part of the process. And I never had to be the upfront guy to feel my worth, you know. So,
you're good at it though.
well, it's a harder job. It's a harder job to support somebody else and play what they need and what they want. Cat's calling BS on me.
Like you always. I've seen you in the mirror, hairbrush to this day. Well, and I was gonna say, oh, you want to hang out with me? Because Oki, which it has some of the best sounding acoustics on there.
Mm.
I mean, I'm listening to them, and I think I've seen some clips of you. I mean, it's all recorded in here, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's, you know, once again, you're trying to use the right instrument.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Justin Niebank and Matt Rouse, they're both world-class engineers, and they can make a great sounding instrument. You know,
Yeah.
they help. They're going to help it. And if you have a great instrument going into the microphone, you know, you're already way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And I always kind of handpick the guitar I want. You know, I kind of have a sound in my brain of what I think I want to hear, and try 3 or 4 different guitars, which one sits with the track better. And you know, it's all part of, you know, every note, every sound, every lick, everyone's part is kind of equal in my mind, and they're all important, and I hear all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I like the minutia.
Yeah. Well, and you typically have a lot of. I mean, you have other guitarists on your
Always.
albums too, which I love, because it's like, as great as you are, you want
Well,
other
but-
musicians around you who also play guitar.
Yeah, and in so many ways they're better because they play something different than I would or could.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that's something I'm proud of too. Is that I'm not a control freak. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to think of everything. You know, I love creative people and letting them shine. And you know, they do things, like I said, they can do things that I never could. And if you all, you know, it's. I like the word democracy
Mm.
when I think about making records and making music with other people, because if you all gather to serve this song and don't care who gets the lion's share of the attention or who gets to be the loudest, or that's not important to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, the part of it is we're all going to band together and do the right thing for this song, and that seems democratic to me. It's what I wish we would do in life.
Yeah.
You know, but we sadly don't. The point is not trying to be perfect. The point is trying to make it the most soulful and speak the most, you know, eloquently it can, I guess. Sometimes it sounds good to be dumb, you know, and you can't. Sometimes it's hard to get a musician to buy into that because they're so good. So I don't want to play that dumb, but it's what it calls for.
It's what I do best.
And it's what
I've been playing dumb for years now at this point.
I figured out my thing. You're an idiot.
Yeah. I've never been so good at anything in my life.
It's just a process of putting the pieces together till it makes you say Wrigley's. That's what Mark Knopfler said to me. I was singing on one of his records, and he did talk. Vince, it just doesn't sound Wrigley's to me. Doesn't say Wrigley's. That's what he said. It was beautiful.
Did you? Well, let me go back and.
I said, I'll keep doing it until it says Wrigley's, man.
What's next with you and the Telly?
Oh, man, I'm going to play 4 nights at the Ryman. I got Boot coming, and Jed Hughes coming, and Jeff White coming, and Jimmy Slows, John Jarvis, and Tony Harrell, Wendy Moten, Andrea Zahn, and me, and Eddie Dunlop's going to play steel. We're going to do a residency at the Ryman for 4 nights, first, second, third, and fourth. And I'm just so excited to get to play some of my songs again because I haven't played them in a long time.
When is that? What month?
August. Next
August.
month. Yeah.
Man, well, if it's not sold out, I'm going to try to
Cool.
try to get in there. Well, perfect then, man. I can't thank you enough for letting me come over, talk about your Telly. I appreciate it.
It's a beast. Here's when it looks best, right there.
Right there.
All whipped on the back.
Man, it's been loved on.
Yeah, you know, I found the serial number is 3717, and I knew that without looking. But I found a guitar that was 3716, but it was way too much money.
Oh,
I couldn't get it. It was a custom colored Telly around the
of
same
course,
time.
it had to be good.
Oh yeah, it was a crazy amount of money. But I said, man, that's just like mine. It went off. But they didn't do any of this stuff in succession. You know, the
No,
serial
all
numbers
band,
were all over
wasn't
the. Yeah, just grab something and put it on.
But it's cool to think about it, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it was still around the same time. Well,
The same stamper.
yeah. So when's you said you were recording some stuff. Next album anytime?
I don't know when it's going to come or when I'm going to finish it. I've just been writing a bunch of songs and putting them down as they show up, and I'm so lost in the way everybody formats their music these days and how it gets out there and all that is so different for me.
Yes.
To me, and so figured out let them do it however they want to do it, and we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Is it leaning more acoustic driven?
No, it's everything.
It's
It's everything. You know, it's like I've always been. You know, I love that I can be an R&B singer. I love I can be a country singer. I love I can play in all those fields fairly authentically, and so that's all I'm doing is turning up with these songs and cutting the songs I like.
Turn it up, turn it out. All right. Well, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, buddy.
I appreciate it, man.
Mark taught me that. Such a cool groove.
Yeah.
You know, rather than playing with a pick. I don't have a pick right off the top of my head.
Is it? I've only got. If you like them. So I've got Fender picks.
I got one. I like some people. You play it with your fangs.
That rhythm is tough to get.
There's so much. Boy, it's stinky. Way stinkier.
Oh yeah, well, and it's like the Money for Nothing intro.
He only plays with the meat of his fingers, and that's remarkable how different that sounds than.
Yeah.
I play more and more with my fingers.
Do you really?
Sweeter sounding.
Yeah.
The strings bloom. The string blooms rather than this pointed little narrow.
Yeah. It just seems to be like a natural progression.
learned to play with the rounded edge of a pick a long time ago. I don't know if you ever thought about that, but
Luke told me about what's funny is that so many
listen to the difference.
players. Yeah.
That's the rounded edge. Here's the pointed
Yeah.
versus. I play a lot with a pick and with my fingers. We need to practice. Yeah, check that neck out on that guy.
Yeah, I just grabbed it for a second.
I know, but you
I don't want to
gotta really grab it.
ever play somebody's guitar without asking them. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's and